Sure.
You, in the book, among other things, talk about how Ice Cube has something in common with MAGA bros. That spoke to us. So reading from I Once Was Lost, you say these right-wing power mongers conflate religious zeal with patriotism. Then they conflate patriotism with nationalism, Lemon writes. Quote, with a charismatic wannabe despot as their frontman. They sample the Bible and the Constitution the way Ice Cube samples the Isley Brothers, and it was a good day.
There you go.
You hear it in there, but it's a whole new jam.
They do. They sample it.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they sample it, but they don't really, they don't get the full meaning of what it is. They're just using words, right? Not that Ice Cube does that. I'm not saying that, but I'm using that as an example of how they don't really take what the Bible and what Christianity and what God is supposed to be about seriously. It has become what they want it to be about, and so they pick and choose, this is nothing new. They pick and choose different verses and things from the Bible to go along with what they want, and it's been happening a lot more now, especially with Donald Trump. And who's become a deity.
Yeah, well, exactly. You care about faith, and it's a rich part of culture. But you're concerned that faith is being transposed into what? Some sort of partisan mission?
Well, they're trying to make us into a theocracy, which is the whole reason behind the book. You've been seeing this, you've been covering it for a long time, but I think it's even more so now. It's on steroids with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not just the president of the United States. He has become, especially after Butler, Pennsylvania, he has become a martyr, and instead of surviving, an alleged attempt, he has become really, it's about a resurrection now. And he has been chosen by God to lead America and lead the world. And considering what has happened since the 1970s, the 1980s with the moral majority and the religious right and pushing religion into politics, it is even more so dangerous, more so dangerous for our country. I mean, look at what Ted Cruz said the other day, that he came to Washington with an express interest to do what? To support Israel, which is about...
Right, he spoke about it in messianic terms. You want to get into that?
Which is about religion, right? And
you know how this works, Don.
We're not supposed to do that.
You know how this works around here, because you've been doing it a long time.
All right, let's go.
Let's roll the tape.
There we go.
I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
So you're saying we should be skeptical of people who want a theocratic foreign policy and want other people to serve and maybe die for it.
I'm saying something, yes, but I'm saying something very simple.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a separation of church and state. We're not supposed to be governing based on religious values or what the Bible says. That should be frightening. And I am a believer. I'd say I'm a believer. I am a Christian. But I do believe in the separation of church and state, and I don't think that I should be pushing my religion, my values onto laws in this country, especially if I'm a lawmaker.
Let me turn to something that I know people want to hear you on.
Yes,
because
sir.
People like that you keep it a buck, right? We're going to get Dawn. We're going to get what you think, right?
All right, you're blacker than me.
I don't have a comment on that. I have no comment on that. Wow, you left me speechless.
You keep it a buck.
On live TV. You keep it a buck.
All right.
People know we're going to get the real, right?
Yes. The real.
There is a double standard. Donald Trump benefits from it from the traditional media, which you've been a part of.
Yes.
And the digital media, which you're now a new leader in.
Yeah.
The president before him, Barack Obama, said something about this recently. I want to play. Take a look.
Imagine if I had done any of this. Imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps. Imagine if I'd said to law firms that were representing parties that were upset with policies my administration had initiated that you will not be allowed into government buildings. It's unimaginable that the same parties that are silent now would have tolerated behavior like that from me.
Is he right? Is there a double standard?
Of course there's a double. Yeah, there's a double standard for him, and there's a double standard for women. Yeah, it's a double standard. I mean, just imagine Donald Trump doing half of the things. Imagine, Barack Obama doing half the things Donald Trump does. Imagine Barack Obama saying the F word.
Today.
Oh, my gosh. Do you remember when he put his feet up on the Resolute desk? And oh, my gosh, he's disrespecting the Oval Office. Donald Trump disrespects the Oval Office and the presidency every single day. Now, imagine if Barack Obama had stood in front of Marine One and reporters and said, the F-bomb.
Or
what would have happened?
Or to carry it out, if Barack Obama insisted on his family or his children profiting off the presidency, selling access, selling crypto, there would have been, impeachment.
But they already, even for his books, two of which I think he wrote, maybe both of them before he was in the White House, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And they talked about him profiting off of that. So imagine if he had his kids overseas making billions of dollars off his businesses. Imagine that. Yeah. And even now they criticize him for making money. He likes to be seen with rich people. You've heard the whole thing. Yeah. He loves partying with the rich. And he's not president anymore. Who cares?
And new media is interesting. It brings in voices. You're now here experimenting in that. But I think new media and some of the pods also give Trump a double standard here.
Well, it's about clicks for a lot of it. But also remember, in new media, like you have editorial standards here. You have to go through standards.
Yeah, we try. We hope so.
You have to tell the truth. And if you don't, then you have to correct it and or apologize for it. You don't have to do that in new media. There are no such gatekeepers there doing that. And the folks who've been really successful in this, in the new media, are people who can shape their own reality, who don't abide by the truth, who can just say whatever they want. And that's tough coming from a traditional, old school journalistic background.
Yeah, and there's, like many situations, there's greatness and elements of both.
Yes.
But we come out of a fact-checking environment. You don't just publish it first and then see what happens.
Yeah, that you had to give someone a warning that someone's going to say the F-bomb. It's just completely foreign to me right now, because I was like, okay, so he said the F-bomb.
Oh, right, the warning.
The warning, yeah.
Yeah, all right, I want to go lemon lightning round.
Lemon lightning
This is fast.
Yeah.
Favorite moment in your time on live TV?
With Simone Sanders, who's here, talking about Black History Month and Omarosa.
Respect.
Yeah.
A journalist or interviewer that you studied or looked up to in your early days?
Besides Ari Melber, Bryant. Bryant's a dear friend, Bryant Gumbel. Yeah. And actually Peter Jennings. Smooth, both of them.
You've been at this a minute, as we say.
Yeah.
Favorite person to interview?
Ooh, my favorite person to interview. Wow. That's a good one. You know what? Who I really liked interviewing? Joe Biden. Good guy. Now, he went back on one thing. He promised to officiate my wedding, and it didn't happen.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Interesting.
Oh, well, I think I fell out of favor with him.
That can happen. Finish this sentence. One thing I learned being outside of traditional media instead of inside.
That everyone is so myopic in traditional media. You think everyone is watching you and the world is paying attention when they're really not.
I know that's right. Yeah. Journalism means?
Journalism means having a backbone and without fear or favor, and not kowtowing to, especially now, to an administration. And that sometimes means standing up against your bosses and saying, we cannot do this. And then you have to be willing to sacrifice something because you take an oath. And journalists are protecting the very first amendment.
We respect our colleagues. I'm curious, at its best, to you, CNN means?
Incomparable international news coverage.
Sometimes the press still doesn't get that.
That they have the power to shape elections and the world.
Final three. Failure.
Lives.
Failure means?
Failure means giving up. And failure also means believing what your critics say about you, the criticism of people who don't like you anyway. So it doesn't matter. That's what failure means.
Success means?
Sitting on an anchor desk at MSNBC with Ari Melber.
Respect.